Hi guys, so welcome to the first video on Emma's Stats Help. Today we're going to be covering a Pearson's correlations because I thought we'd start off nice and easy. So today we're going to be covering the assumptions of a Pearson's correlation. We're going to be looking at how to do it in SPSS and also how to write up the results of a correlation in APA format, which I know is really important for when you're writing up the dissertation results or any kind of research in a journal. So now we're just going to briefly consider what is actually a Pearson's correlation. So the main thing here is to understand that it measures a relationship between two continuous variables. So continuous variables are obviously measured on a continuous level. So for example, you could look at how time spent revising impacts exam score. But the main thing here is that you're measuring the strength of the association between these two variables. You're not saying one causes the other, but you're just looking at the association. So I'm just going to go over the assumptions of a Pearson's correlation. So as I've already mentioned, variables should be measured on a continuous level. You should also have a linear relationship between your two variables. Thirdly, data should be normally distributed, and you can actually test this on SPSS, which I will cover in another video. I think one way you can do it is by using a Shapiro-Wilk test of normality, but as I said, I'll cover that in another video. And also, you should have no significant outliers. Okay, so how to do this in SPSS. So I've just made up a question which wants to look at the relationship between sleep in hours and exam score. Now, obviously, we'd expect that as the number of hours of sleep you get, to a certain extent, the better your exam score. So, for example, someone who's had 8 hours sleep is probably a little bit more likely to perform better on an exam than someone who has had 4 hours sleep. Okay, so as you can see, I've got SPSS open and I've just got some made up fictitious data here, and I've got 29 participants in this particular study. So as you can see, I've got sleep on the left hand side and then I've got exam score on the right hand side. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go on analyze, and then I'm going to go all the way down to correlate. And then after I've clicked on correlate, and I'm going to click on bivariate. This will then load up this. So as you can see, I've already got my variables already in the right hand side. These will initially appear on the left hand side, so you'll need to move them over. I'm then going to click on options, and I do want to tick the box which says means and standard deviations because this is useful information to have. I'm then going to make sure Pearson's correlation is clicked rather than the other two. And then I'm going to make sure that two-tailed is clicked depending on what type of hypothesis we have. And then I want to click flag significant correlations. Then we're going to press OK. And then this will come up with another dialog, which is the output. So as you can see, it shows the number of participants here. This is quite interesting data, so we can see that the mean number of the mean hours of sleep was actually 7.8. So people in our data were getting roughly just over 7.5 hours of sleep. And then, as you can see by the box, the correlation is 0.881, which, as you'll see in the table, which I'm going to show next, is actually indicates a very strong positive correlation. So that means that these two variables are very heavily associated with each other. So as you can see here in the next slide, I've just got kind of like a little table which is accurate. So if you do want to take a picture of it or screenshot it or do whatever for your own reference, you can do. So if you remember, our correlation was actually 0.881, and obviously looking at the graph, this indicates a very strong positive correlation, which means the variables are very strongly associated with each other. So essentially what a positive correlation means is that as one variable increases, so does the other. So as the number of hours of sleep that we get increases, in this case, so does the exam score. So finally, I'm just going to go over how to write up the results in APA format because I know that is very, very important. So as you can see here, I've just said a Pearson's correlation was run to determine the relationship between two continuous variables, sleep and exam score. There was a very strong positive correlation between sleep and exam score, which was statistically significant. And really, that would be enough if you're writing the results up in your dissertation. You don't really need to say a lot. You could potentially discuss why there might be an association between your two variables in the discussion, but really this would be adequate for writing up your results. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. This is my first video, so obviously I'm going to try and improve as I go along. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them below and hit the subscribe button if this is the type of content you like, and if you need any more help on stats in general or maybe even some dissertation questions, I'm also really happy to answer them as well.